It's the end of the day with Ray. Hello, my friends. Well, you can see in that sharp interactive board, I got none other than Rick Lambert of Sell to Win and Into Communications. And he's been busy lately as our industry is changing and transitioning. Rick's been on the speaking tour talking to dealers regarding LinkedIn and social media and how to beef up their presence for an ever-changing world. And I wanted to bring Rick on because I believe that we have to look in new places, but we are never going to find what everybody else is missing as they all look in the same place. Rick, how are you doing, man? It's great to have you on. I see you're wearing this referee shirt. Is there any kind of semblance to the show with that?
Well, Ray, first, thanks for having me on today. I talked to a lot of dealers over the last 30 days, and I can give you the feedback if you're okay with that.
I love feedback. I love feedback.
All right. So a lot of people agree very much with, what you're saying. I think a few of them, to say the least, have said to me, hey, how do we throw this guy in the penalty box? So I have the odd time. So I thought I'd wear my referee jersey. But anyway, I'm proud to be on today. And yes, we're doing a lot of work with dealers to help them kind of scale themselves on a digital platform, LinkedIn. Mm-hmm. And anyway, I think you wanted to talk about maybe how dealers should look in new places today using LinkedIn. For a different purpose than just selling.
Well, Rick, I think you've pretty much mastered, and I believe most of our dealer friends believe that you understand the space. But so the dealers, you've helped them with their sales reps while they work for them. And I don't think I think you could capitalize if you could help our friends look for sales reps using LinkedIn, not just cleaning up the reps they already have. And, I did a video, I think it was last week, and I talked about, we're out there recruiting people. And I mean, it looks like somebody opened up Granddad's desk drawer, opened up a file, and pulled out the advert to hire a rep. And, I mean, they're asking people, they got to have a van. I mean, it's just insane. And, how do we do this a little bit different? And can you help our friends do this a little different?
Sure. So, I'm really impressed, to be honest, with a lot of the strides a lot of the dealers have taken. And we work with, a lot of IT companies and outside the space as well. So we try to see what others are doing and, of course, share best practices. But, from a sales standpoint, if we start there and then shift to recruiting, we just believe that, you've got to clean up the reps' profiles first. I don't know about you guys, but in Canada where I live, when we have company over, we kind of clean the joint up, right? Sure. So you fix your profile, expand your network, and then now as a sales manager, the network expansion strategy with our clients is now to expand your network with potential sales hires. And I think a lot of times the focus has been on customers, but now, we see literally, because we do manage a lot of the social media for our clients, I would say arguably every fifth post is a weird hiring post. And the magic happens not just from social media, but I think thinking through LinkedIn and how can you start to target and engage some people that may not be in the market right now to move, but slowly over time, when something breaks on their end, if you've engaged them and communicate along the way, I mean, this is no secret from a recruiting standpoint. And, my last job in the industry, I was a VP of Icon Office Solutions. And I used to go to meetings, Ray, and they would say to us, okay, we want to see every person on every sales team in your, geographical market. And then they wanted us as the sales leader to have a strategy to identify top performers,
sure.
How you engaging them, all that kind of stuff.
Well, Rick, it's amazing to me. I was on LinkedIn. Well, I'm on LinkedIn a lot, obviously. But here I am, I'm looking at a dealer who's trying to recruit someone that got laid off, whether they got laid off at Xerox, at Konica, or whatever OEM's cleaning house. But our OEMs are going to clean house. We've got to cut costs. We can't sell our way out of a 20% decline. And at the end of the day, even if we sell more hardware, our services continue to decline. So we have to pivot. We have to do all these other things. But as the industry consolidates, not necessarily is it a good idea to go gobble up people that came out of a consolidating industry, because you might read something where Salesforce made some cuts, and maybe you're better off to look at the folks that were working at Salesforce to come over and try to figure out how to help you transition, or look at some folks that are leaving the executive suites of Amazon, and maybe they could come over and help you figure out how to transition. And I just think we're missing the boat on that. And I know you could probably help them, understand the value of that. But the other thing is, when you're looking to hire somebody, if you go on LinkedIn and look at their content, I mean, you'd have to be a nut if you were some corporation out there and say, we want to hire Ray to come in here and work in this corporate world, and you go to my profile and say, oh, there's no way, he would never pass the human resources test. I mean, look at his content. He needs a referee. So that's okay, because I'm not trying to get a job in corporate America. But,
oh, really?
but when you look at some of these reps out there and it's the total nonsense they put out there online, it's like, why the hell would you hire this person to begin with? Or they lie online. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that happens online that's pretty absurd, to say the least.
Oh yeah. So if you think about it, most of us, okay, we spend 10% of our time recruiting and 90% of our time cleaning up the mistakes that we've made recruiting, sure. Right? Mm-hmm. And back to your point, I think people tend to go back to the same fishing holes for talent. And I grew up on a farm, and for a long time we had beef cattle, and it was the same, Hereford. We always bred the same cattle until all of a sudden they brought this bull over from Europe, and oh my gosh, like the performance in terms of growth patterns, et cetera, was just astronomical. And so I think on LinkedIn, if you're a sales leader, a service leader, a business owner, as you know, when you look at a company's, and this is what we're coaching our clients to do, when you look at another company's LinkedIn profile, you can see all of their employees. So if you're recruiting for sales or service or admin, we're not suggesting to our clients, by the way, to go aggressively after somebody that your time frames, but start to plant the seeds of a digital relationship with those people, because I think over time, again, it's that moment when something breaks where they're employed and they start to look around. We want our clients to be top of mind at that point in need, given the high priority, especially in the IT sector right now. I mean, it's a fist fight for talent right now.
Well, it's a fist fight for talent, and it's really easy to hire untalented people. This is a reality, and a lot of times, and I talked about this last week in that episode on this subject, but it's really easy to find untalented people because they'll work anywhere. It's harder to find quality people because they have options. And I always tell people, when they call me up and they say, hey, I lost my job or whatever it was, if they're a quality person, the first thing out of my mouth is quality people have options. So, if you're out there interviewing companies, those are who you want to hire. And quite honestly, there's people out there, especially in the IT sector, they're looking to go work somewhere. And their quality, they're not going to go work for, Joe Schmuckatelli running a popcorn stand. They want to go where they believe there's a future, where they believe there's stability, where they believe there's discipline, because people like to work where there's discipline. And, all that stuff's out there. It's out there on how their executives are talking online. I mean, I was joking with you the other day, but it's not even really a joke. I mean, I've seen senior vice presidents in our industry going on LinkedIn, making just the most bizarrest political statements, not realizing that they're just alienated 50% of their customers, since in America here we're a 50-50 split. So you could have political views, and political views have to do with business, but there's a way to do it without looking like a total moron and jeopardizing, your customer relationships for the company that you work for.
Yeah. I mean, and so, Ray, we try to give our customers guardrails, okay? And sometimes they go in the gutter and they do whatever they're going to do, right? But we have a formula that we have seen. Just in the last month, we've had 2 large dealers, managed service providers. Copier base represents 80% of the revenue. Their reps' performance on LinkedIn, meaning their activities, gone up 450% in 30 days. And so we've now got that surge in terms of presence. Now, when you talk about recruiting, again, I would ask people, when is the last time you used LinkedIn to search out the potential candidate? Maybe you have, congratulations. The broken link we see, though, is once you've engaged somebody, and whether it's through LinkedIn or another medium, I think people need to be honest and take a hard look at their careers page, because many of those look like applications for retirement homes.
No, it's pitiful. Yeah,
it's terrible. So what we're doing now is, and I can give your viewers a couple suggestions that, they can have us do it or they can do it themselves, but nowadays the people want to see inside the facility. So we take our video team and we'll literally do a quick video of inside the office so someone can see inside. We've got interviews with personalities within the different roles. So if you're a candidate, you can kind of see the vibe of the people.
Sure.
I think a lot of people try, especially on LinkedIn, to show hyped up team pictures and all that kind of jazz. But when you poke through to the careers page, which is the ultimate landing strip, we'll call it, for a candidate, that's where you can start to separate with quality by maybe answering common questions. What do you look for? The president's message. This is what's really successful in this role. If you're this type of person, with all due respect, you may not be a good fit for our company. And I think LinkedIn's a great hunting ground and engagement place, but you need to have a forum, and I'll call it your careers page, to sell your company to a recruit like you're selling your company to, their prospects. And I think the effort level is like completely inverse right now.
Oh, I know. I actually profiled our friends over at Impact Networking. Of all the websites I looked at, they were hitting a home run there. But it is, when you go to these sites, first of all, young people that are living in a social world. This is a social media world we're in. I mean, look who we can communicate all over the world, even when we were kids.
I don't think people get it, right?
Playing games. These kids were playing games with people all over the world as they were growing up. They're very, very social. And the energy level at some of these dealerships, again, it's like granddad's old copier company, or they show pictures and the place is a filthy, disgusting mess. There's absolutely no energy coming from the ownership. And folks, I'm going to tell all my old friends something. I'm 61, okay? And I couldn't do videos when I first started. You were there. You saw me do them. They sucked, to be quite honest with you. But I practice. Like anything else, you have to practice to get to some kind of perfection. I still got a lot of practicing to do. But at the end of the day, if you're running these companies today, I don't give a crap if you're 35 or 70. You better be able to do video. The days of writing stuff, even articles, no one wants to read the shit. They want to see you, and they want to see your animation. They want to see your energy. And if you can't deliver content about your company, first of all, hire a professional to help you get there. But more importantly, you have to be able to articulate your value add in video form today. I believe that wholeheartedly.
Well, we agree on that. And, so we coach a lot of the dealers right now on how to kind of build their personal brand and, of course, their company brand on top of that. And video is a critical path. I was at a dealer meeting speaking just a couple weeks ago, and video was a hot topic. Mm-hmm. And I sat and I listened to kind of what the discussion was. And I think there's a common stop sign for a lot of people in dealerships, and that is, like, what do we post video about? And as easy as it is for you to jump on maybe end of the day with Ray every day and come up with a topic, for the average person, A, they don't want to fail and damage their personal brand. B, they don't know what the heck to say. They're not sure how to make it educational, not promotional. And so might I suggest, what we're doing right now with dealerships, and again, you guys can do this yourself watching, is get your sales team at a meeting and just write down the top 10 questions your customers ask them all the time, and then turn to your sales reps and go, okay, Jimmy, you're going to answer this one. Betty, you're going to take that one, etc. And I think they do need a little bit of coaching from a technical standpoint in terms of how to do it, how to open it up and close the conversation, because that's another problem on video. People don't know how to stop on a video. A lot of times they end it like a voicemail, and I look forward to seeing you soon or whatever.
You notice me, I got the starting and the ending, and it's always the same, so I can't screw that up. But I'll tell you, Rick, I honestly believe a lot of the failure in video is there's no goal. So in other words, they're going to do a video because they watched an episode of The End of the Day with Ray and Rick, and they said, I ought to go do a video. But they don't really have a goal of what the content is supposed to accomplish. And if you don't have a goal of what the content's supposed to accomplish, you're going to put out some really terrible content.
So this is where people, I think a lot of people, sorry to interrupt you, right? Yeah. I think you're bang on. A lot of people want to get into video, but they don't want to make a mistake. And without a little bit of coaching, they make a couple mistakes, and then of course their buddies, they cut them up on the side, and then they stay right away from it, which is exactly what your competition wants you to do, is stay out of it.
Absolutely. Well, they have to practice.
If someone was competing with you, the last thing they want you doing is exactly what you're doing in your niche, Ray, and that is pumping video. Mm-hmm. If you look at, I don't even know where your impressions would be at now. Like, where would you be at now in terms of people actually being exposed to your video? Where are you at?
It's interesting. On LinkedIn, they allowed you to get that information. And over the last 365 days, I've just crossed 1.6 million impressions, which is a pretty damn big number. Now, here's the reality with impressions. A lot of people are running around town telling people those are views. That's not a view. That's an impression. That means it showed up in the feed. Whether or not it was viewed or not, I have no idea. And I always looked at my YouTube channel, which is a place where I just kind of park this stuff. and over time, because of the volume had gotten so big there. But if I'm getting 30, 40, 50% views against my subscribers, then I think I'm doing okay. But more importantly, you know, the goal, what my goal with videos, in case anybody's really unclear with this, my goal with video is to cause people to have conversations. And when people are talking about me when I'm not there, that's a good goal. If people are upset by what I said, but it's causing them to maybe think a little bit different, well, then I accomplished my goal. So maybe, yeah, I need a referee sometimes, but at the end of the day, I have a clear goal to disrupt the status quo. That's the whole premise of this. And I think I put a quote out there earlier this week. When you find the cracks in the foundation of status quo is where you stick the damn dynamite. I'm pretty good at putting dynamite in cracks.
Well, that's why I wore my referee.
There you go.
So hey, I just think that a video, you need a strategy. It's no different than a major account strategy or a marketplace strategy. And I think a little bit of coaching up front would prevent you from causing common mistakes that will create fear in your people. And I see so many people right in this industry that are so gifted and could share so much, and they're apprehensive to step in. And I just think they're really missing the opportunity, never mind from a personal branding standpoint, but from an income standpoint. We talked about recruiting today. And whether video exists on LinkedIn or their website or another platform, I think you and I agree, LinkedIn and video, 2 home runs that at least grease the way to a live conversation. I mean, I think a lot of people think that, I'm living off in this digital world right now. I still coach on how to sell security, how to sell packers, how to sell managed print, doc management, IT. But you got to get that first meeting. And a lot of times people meet digitally first these days.
Absolutely.
And then they go to the traditional model. So anyway.
Here's the reality, and this is a little scary for some people probably going to hear this, but video, social media presence is really just permission to show up today. And we act like it's the greatest new invention. I mean, this is permission to show up. You have to have these tools. So now that we all admit we have to have them, now we need to figure out how we're going to get them and deploy them in the right manner. Because one thing I really fear, and I'm starting to see this a little bit on LinkedIn as more and more people are doing video, they're substituting taking selfies of themselves with doing videos with zero content. And, eventually you're just going to become the person that was doing selfies of themselves, or you were making it about yourself. You have to be able to bring value. Don't just do a video because someone said you have to do videos, and if you think you just go out there and do a video and talk about nothing, that's going to get you somewhere. Because eventually you might really have some good stuff to say, but no one will listen.
So let's go back. Like, do you have a video strategy for your business? Yes or no? And if you don't, which most companies don't, which is crazy. Now, if you go off into the SaaS arena or different markets we play in, video is like it's mainstream. And that's why I think one of your points earlier was we got to get out of maybe the same environments that we've been looking at. Because if you're looking at, look, I come from playing hockey, and if I'm always playing in the minor leagues, my skill level's never going to understand what it takes to go to the next level, or what techniques from another sport that may apply. And anyway, I just think video, LinkedIn in closing, has been a phenomenal tool to help our people through, never mind the pandemic. But now that they're up on their water skis, these people now understand how to hunt digitally, booking more appointments, they're getting to the right levels. I mean, how possibly could you get directly to a senior official through the phone today versus LinkedIn? And it's not 100% batting average, but I'd put our game against the traditional.
I've talked to a lot of senior leaders through LinkedIn that I would have never talked to through an email. Rick, it's always great having you on. I appreciate wearing that, referee shirt. Maybe you set the tone a little better for some of these people that get so freaked out. I do
2 minutes for roughing, big guy.
But I will tell you, I don't watch a lot of hockey, but maybe you can answer this question. If the person that goes in the penalty box the most, is that usually one of the best players?
I spent my time there, Ray, and I wasn't the best player, but no, there's a type of breed that lives in the penalty box.
That's not the answer I wanted.
Oh, sorry.
Always good talking to you, Rick, because everybody watching us knows this. Status quo is the killer of all that'll be invented. Don't get stuck in status quo, and I'll see you all.